You know, I did very well academically. I won a scholarship to Yale. I thought I was pretty hot stuff, you know, Yale University from Detroit. I was pretty cool until I got to the end of that first semester and I was failing chemistry. That wasn't so cool at all. And you can't be pre-med and fail chemistry. And we were right there the day before the final. And my grades were so bad that even if I had gotten an A on the final, I still would have failed. That's how bad it was.
All right, so Ben Carson here, who is the smartest dumb guy that you've ever met, apparently won a scholarship to Yale. I don't know how that works. A lot of people are given scholarships or they earn scholarships or partial scholarships or shit, but I guess they just picked Ben at random and he won a scholarship to freaking Yale. But then he's failing chemistry so bad that even if he aced his final, he would still fail the course, right? So luckily enough for him, he's got a backup plan.
But the professor was either very compassionate or very sadistic. I'm not sure which one, because he had a rule. He said, anybody who's failing, I'll give them double credit on their final. So you had like that one last burst of hope before you went down. And
so there you have it. So far, he's down, but he's not out. He's failing real bad, but apparently the professor, like Jesus, was very compassionate and is allowing double credit on the final if it'll help you pass, I guess. Not double credit on your final if you're doing well and you just test poorly that on the final, but rather you have to actually do well on the final after failing the course, and then he's just going to believe that you all of a sudden understand the chemistry, which is something that, like Ben Carson mentioned earlier, you absolutely need as a pre-med student. You have to fucking understand chemistry, especially if you want to end up being a world-renowned neurosurgeon like Carson ended up being. So let's see how this story turns out.
So there I was, night before, thinking about my life. I said, Lord, medicine is the only thing I ever wanted to do. I always thought that's what you wanted for me. And yet, it looks like I'm going to fail chemistry. I'm not going to go to medical school.
Isn't it funny how the things people want for themselves are often what they think God wants for them as well? Like if you want to be a doctor, then that's what God wants. God wants me to be a doctor. I guess God must want me to be a internet atheist, because that's what I want to do. And so if God's real, that's what he wants me to do. Get it? It makes total sense if you just don't fucking think about it. But obviously you see the direction we're going in here. You know, because when you're having a tough time with chemistry and you start talking to the Lord, it can only go one way.
I said, so would you please tell me what it is you really want me to do? Or alternatively and preferably, work a miracle. And I picked up that big chemistry book. I was going to learn the whole thing that night. And of course I fell asleep. Dreamed I was in this large auditorium, just me, and a nebulous figure working out chemistry problems. And I awakened early in the morning. That dream was so vivid in my mind. I picked up my book. I started looking up the stuff that I dreamed about. And when I went to take the test the next morning, it was like the Twilight Zone. I opened that book and I recognized the first problem as one of the ones I dreamed about. And the next, and the next, and the next. And I aced the exam and, got a good mark in chemistry. It worked out okay. But
how in the actual fuck does that get a round of applause from people? He's like, I didn't put enough time or didn't understand chemistry. I just was failing the course really hard on a scholarship at Yale, and I was having such a hard time with it, and I was like, God, so either I fail this and that's God telling me he doesn't want me to be a doctor, or I have some weird fucking dream where I know all of the answers to the final, because that's how I really need, it's not that God wants you to understand the chemistry. It's that he wants to just give you the answers in a dream so that you can go on and practice medicine without that basic foundation of fucking chemistry, which is the point of the course, you dipshit. So are you basically admitting that anytime you suck at something, you just pray to God about it? So in the middle of if you're poking around in someone's brain, being a neurosurgeon, and you fuck up or don't know what the hell you're doing, you just go, Lord, I thought you wanted me to be a neurosurgeon. So I guess if I fucking turn this guy into a vegetable, it's just not what you wanted for me. But then you had a dream about where to poke him in the fucking brain or something. It's not the way a doctor should fucking treat their patients. It's to have the understanding of the medicine and the background behind it and how to treat their patients. Instead, he's just like, Lord, help me with a miracle to pass my chemistry test. And they did it. And that gets a fucking round of applause. How fucking embarrassing. Cocktopus out.